First and foremost, I like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rukah, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a sincere salutation to you, Akim, Aqua, to believe in all sincerity. All right, so here's another article, okay, on 6G, all right, and Nokia CEO, he had much to say, all right, so I want to read this article, get some precepts, Lord willing. This will be edifying. It says Nokia CEO says 6G will be here by 2030, but you might not access it via your smartphone. It says Nokia builds telecoms networks that enable devices to communicate with one another. Asked when he thinks the world will move away from using smartphones to using smart glasses and other devices that are worn on the face, Nokia CEO Pekka Lundmark said it will definitely happen by the time 6G arrives in 2030. U.S. tech giants such as Meta, Google, and Microsoft are working on new augmented reality headsets that could one day replace the smartphone. Okay, so, as we've been mentioning lately, all right, society is about to take a drastic turn. Technology is about to get, advanced. And this is going to be, appealing to the masses. All right. But, to us, we know this is the groundwork for the MOTB. All right. Let's continue to read. Nokia CEO Pekka Lundmark expects 6G mobile networks to be in operation by the end of the decade, but he doesn't think the smartphone will be the most common interface by then. Speaking on a panel at the World Economic Forum in Davos Tuesday, Lundmark said he expects 6G to hit the commercial market around 2030, which coincides roughly with when Huawei expects to see the technology on the market. And I believe Huawei makes phones as well. Continuing on, it says headquartered in Finland, Nokia builds telecoms networks that enable phones and other internet-enabled devices to communicate with one another. Asked when he thinks the world will move away from using smartphones to using smart glasses and other devices that are worn on the face, Lundmark said it will happen before 6G arrives. All right, so basically this guy, Nokia CEO Pekka Lundmark, says that before 2030, okay, when 6G arrives, they will already be using they will be moving away, I should say, from using smartphones to using smart glasses and other devices that are worn on the face. So the phone is going to be obsolete. Okay, and they're already using smart glasses, all right, where you can actually hear music and use as a phone, if I'm not mistaken. They have some cheap ones for the general public at Walmart. All right, let's continue reading. By then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the most common interface, he said. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies, you see? Now, let's focus on this smartphone, all right? Now, everybody's using a smartphone, but he's saying that the smartphone is going to be built in directly into the body, all right? Which is what? That has to be the MOTB, okay? And technology implanted in the body, okay? So you're not going to be walking around with a device. It's going to somehow be built in your body to where, you can make a phone calls and speak, you see, to people. Let's read this again. Asked when he thinks the world will move away from using smartphones to using smart glasses. So that's going to be a device, and other devices that are worn on the face. Okay. Now, Let's read this bullet right here. It says U.S. tech giants such as Meta, Google, and Microsoft are working on a new augmented reality headset. Right? Reality headset. Now, I was looking up reality headsets, and this is what they look like. So they're gonna move away from smartphones to be using smart glasses and possibly even these. Right? What does it say? Right here on the right, top VR headsets, virtual reality headsets. This is the type of world they want to move into. Now, I'm not saying this is exactly what they're going to use, but as you see at the top, I typed in reality headsets. Okay, this is what people This is what people are gonna, somewhat be wearing. All right, and that's like blinding people. All right, at first it was the C19 mask. Now it's this this device. Look, they're already started with the smart glasses, but they want to get rid of the phone. Really, they want to put it, install it in your system somehow. This they want to move to. I'm reminded of that movie, Demolition Man. Go check that movie out. Sylvester Stallone and what's this female's name? They were basically had a intercourse via virtual reality headsets. you know. Sandra Bullock, that's her name. Stallone and Sandra Bullock were in that movie, Demolition Man. They show you those virtual reality headsets. But let's continue reading. Okay. All right, we'll read this again. By then, definitely, the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the most common interface, he said. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies. He did not specify exactly what he was referring to, but some companies such as Elon Musk's Neuralink are working on producing electronic devices that can be implanted into the brain and used for communication with machines and other people. You see? So as I said, that reality headset, I don't know exactly how it's going to look, but they want to produce electronic devices that can be implanted into your brain. All right, So, when it comes to the headset, who knows how it's going to look, how they're going to implant it, but, they want to basically get rid of the phone. They want to use other technology. They want to advance it, okay? So, something to keep an eye out on, all right? It says, and used for communication with machines and other people. On a more basic level, chips can be implanted into people's fingers and used to unlock things. You see? The MOTB, this 6G, all right, this internet, it's going to be plugged into everything, but they want to upgrade technology and they want to put it in your body. The exact definition of 6G is currently unclear, and the world is only just getting to grips with 5G. It says 5G refers to next generation mobile networks that offer super fast data speeds that process to support technologies like driverless cars and virtual reality. You see? Let's read that again. The 5G refers to next generation mobile networks that offer super fast data speeds that promise to support technologies like driverless cars and virtual reality. Yeah, you see, society's going to change. They already have Waymos, right? The driverless cars. You plan to see more of those, all right? And virtual reality. We just saw the headsets. They want to start, moving towards this type of technology, and it's going to be super fast, and people are gonna flock to it because people like trendiness. They like fashion. They want to be in the in crowd. They want to be plugged in. Celebrities are going to take this and endorse it. People are going to run with this. All right. People, and it's going to look so flashy. Right. When people buy iPhones, they want to get the newest one when you really don't need the Pro Max. Right. iPhone 17 Pro Max, and it's virtually the same device. All right. All right, it says elsewhere, U.S. tech giants such as Meta, Google, and Microsoft are working on new augmented reality headsets that could one day replace the smartphone. You see, so somehow these reality headsets are going to replace the smartphone. Okay, I'm not sure what they're going to look like, but like I said, I just googled this and looked in images, and this is what came out. So yeah, you can imagine people walking around like this. All right, like this lady or this guy right here. You know, and people are gonna think that's cool. All right, and they're gonna be able to walk through society with this, with images floating around. Like the Terminator or whatnot. The Terminator was able to, look, computer wise through his eyes. Futuristic virtuality reality headset. Yeah, like this guy. Yeah, yeah. You're gonna be able to make calls with this thing. So yeah, it's just that's just googling it. Like I said, it even says here. Right here at the top, the exact definition of 6G is currently unclear, and the world is only just getting to grips with 5G. They're already trying to roll out 6G. Speaking on the same panel, Google CFO Ruth Porat said, "We believe that one of the big advantages of augmented reality is actual solving problems here on Earth. It will be things like having glasses and able to translate as you speak with glasses," she added. Those are very close. All right. And again, you can get those at Walmart. Google previously launched an AR headset called Google Glass, which ultimately pulled it after the device failed to gain traction. The tech leaders also discussed opportunities and challenges that the metaverse presents. By 2030, Lundmark said he believes that there will be a digital twin of everything that will require massive computational resources. In order to transmit all the computer's bits that the metaverse will require, networks will need to be at least 100 times or even 1,000 times faster than they are today, Lundmark said. Yeah, right. They're going to have to make a faster internet to support all this technology advances. Right, all these new interfaces because they want to get rid of the smartphone. They want to move to, you know, to implant these things in you. They want to merge, people with computers. Yeah, imagine people walking with this device. How who knows how they'll be able to see the world through this um this thing. So so yeah, this is Second Corinthians 2:11. Oh, what's going on? Second Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Okay.
Strong's G 3540. Naima.
Right, his evil
Naima.
purpose. Okay, we're not ignorant of his evil purposes, man. His devices. Okay, we don't care how fast your 6G is going to be, or that the smartphone is going to be implanted in the skin. We don't care about the convenience. We're not ignorant okay, of his evil plans, his evil purposes, all right? We're here to tell you, we know that that's the MOTB, and they're making it a sexy, for lack of words. They're making it fashionable. People going to be wearing that thing like it's something cool. Celebrities are going to endorse it. The apostles, elders have brought this out, and we believe it. Yeah, it's true. They're going to push this heavy. All right, internet's going to be fat. It's going to be up a lot of people's alley. Gamers, right? There's a lot of gamers out there. There's a lot of individuals that are just influencers. Just to log on the internet, you're probably gonna have the MOTB. Hey, we can't take none of that with us, man. If we have to detach or we have to unplug, that's just what we're gonna do. Okay, let me get this. This is a. First Timothy 6 and 7, for we brought nothing into this world, and it's certain we can carry nothing now. We can't carry nothing with us. Okay? This man's technology, we're not. You can't take it with you, Scriptures say we use the world, but we don't abuse of the world. You putting that stuff on your head, that headset on your head, that's just being worldly. Like we don't need to see the world through those eyes. Through technological advances. That's too much. It's too much, man. It makes Jake lazy. People think that it's gonna be more convenient. It's gonna make people more lazy. Having all this technology at your fingertips. All right. 1 Timothy 6 and 7. For we brought nothing into this world, and it's certain we can carry nothing out. Let's get this. 1 Corinthians 7. And 31. And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away.
Strong's G 4976. Schema.
Right.
Schema.
The fashion is the habitus, as compromising everything in a person which strikes the senses. The figure, bearing, discourse, actions, manner of life, etc. All that is going to pass away. All right? All that's going to pass away. What people think to be pretty, handsome, cool, okay, what people speak about, the actions, this manner of life, it's all going to pass away. It's all going to pass away. When Yahweh Shemashah returns, it's all going to pass away. You don't need to abuse of the world. You don't need, the fashions of this world. You don't need all that. We don't need it. You see? And they're moving fast on this. They're moving fast, this 6G. Time's going by quick. Pretty soon, they're gonna roll all this stuff out. All the technology is already here. It's already here. This is Revelation 13 and 15. He had power to give life unto the image of the beast. You know what? This reminds me. Let me get this real quick. Let's see if I can. This was put in the chat. The image of the beast, Revelation 13 and 15, should both speak and cause the image as a living system, a self-operating empire, one that speaks to policy, algorithms, and enforcement. Yeah. And that's what the internet does. It speaks to you through algorithms. It feeds you, Down here says 6G AI fits this eerily well. AI systems speak, decisions, commands. Right, you could type things into ChatGPT, and it gives you a wealth of information. Algorithms cause action. Humans become secondary operators, right? And they have power to give life into the image of the beast. The image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So if you don't take, all right, the MOTB, you see, which is going to be jacked into this 6G, you're going to be killed. You're going to be ousted from society. It says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads. Let's go back to this. It says here, on a more basic level, chips can be implanted into people's fingertips and used to unlock things. Okay? So when it speaks here to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about making implantable devices. You see, your phone is going to be, in your, implanted in your body somewhere. Okay, everybody has a smartphone. Kids, even kids have smartphones, but parents have accustomed their kids to, they bought their phone. They're buying kids phones with expensive phones with cheap internet. That's why they made the family plan. Kids are doom scrolling. And that's causing, I read an article, that's causing a lot of individuals, a lot of this young generation, it's causing them to be very weak because they don't get up, they don't exercise. People are just doom scrolling, laying down, sitting down, scrolling for hours, okay, daily. this, and then add the virtual reality headsets. People will be jacked into this thing. Ready Player One. That movie comes to mind. Check that movie out. So this is how we're going to cause both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive that marcus in their hand or in their foreheads. Okay? Because he's going to make devices. He's going to make technology to, it's going to have that number. It says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So in their technology that's coming, it's going to be in it somehow, some way. If it ain't a C-hip, it's going to be a card, or if not a device. People are going to take it somehow, some ways, because it's going to be in everything. It's going to be in all kinds of technology. It's going to be, your car is going to be jacked in, to the 6G, your home security, okay, your passport, your health records, your social security, your license, all that's going to be on cards, national IDs, and the MOTB is about to be rolled out big, and so they're using the phone. They want to make the phone obsolete and implant a phone in you, right? This is just one of the devices. This is him causing both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive it. Okay? By rolling out this 6G. And to access it, you're not going to need a phone. It's going to be in you. You're going to be plugged in. Basically, you're going to be plugged in. Okay, here's wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 636. Okay, which basically is a barcode, cut and dry. You're going to be scannable. You're going to be like a product, which really you are. And your social security number, you're like inventory. You're like cattle. You're a product. You're a tool for this system, and they're going to want to jack you into the system by implanting 6G. Okay, and one of the ways they're going to do it is by implanting some type of phone into you. You're going to be able to dial on your hand or through some type of hologram, or we're not too sure yet, but that technology is all coming. All right, so I just wanted to In a report on this, Lord willing, it was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rokak Wadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a sincere salutation to you, Akim and you, Aqua, to believe in all sincerity. Shalom.